Adolf Hitler, a name that echoes through the annals of history, was born in Braunau am Inn, Austria, on April 20th, 1889. His father, Alois Hitler, was a stern, hard-working customs official, while his mother, Clara Hitler, was a gentle and nurturing soul. As a child, Adolf was a dreamer, often lost in his own world of operas and grandiose architectural plans. His ambitions, however, were largely dismissed by his pragmatic father. Adding to the complexity of his early life was the death of his younger brother Edmund, a tragedy that shook Adolf to his core and left an indelible mark on his psyche. Adolf's childhood, a blend of dreams and harsh reality, was far from ordinary. These experiences, the death of a beloved sibling, the clash of personal ambitions with parental expectations, painted the first strokes on the canvas of a character that would later dominate the world stage. These early years, with their share of tragedy and ambition, set the stage for the rise of one of history's most infamous figures. In his youth, Hitler aspired to be a painter, a dream that was crushed when he was twice rejected by the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. After the second rejection, he found himself living in the underbelly of Vienna, where he struggled to make ends meet. It was during these hard times that he developed a deep resentment for the established order and began to form his radical ideologies. After a few years of hardship, Hitler decided to leave Vienna behind and move to Munich, Germany. It was here, amidst the brewing tensions of the early 20th century, that he enlisted in the German army. Hitler, the failed artist, was now Hitler, the soldier. His time in the German army during World War I only served to further radicalize his views. As the war ended and the Treaty of Versailles placed the blame for the war squarely on Germany, Hitler's anger and resentment grew. The world stage was set for the entrance of a soldier who would become a dictator. Post-World War I, Germany was a nation in turmoil, a fertile ground for the growth of extremist ideologies. After the devastation of the Great War, Germany was a country in disarray, ripe for the rise of radical movements. Enter a disillusioned war veteran, Adolf Hitler, who found a platform for his extremist views in the German Workers' Party. Joining as a member in 1919, Hitler was quick to rise through the ranks, thanks to his fiery speeches that resonated with the disgruntled populace. His charisma was undeniable, his rhetoric powerful. He skillfully tapped into the bitterness of a defeated nation, blaming the Treaty of Versailles, the Communists, and the Jews for Germany's downfall. By 1920, Hitler had ascended to a leadership position within the party, and it was then that he changed its name to the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or more infamously, the Nazi Party. This wasn't just a rebranding, but a strategic move to draw workers away from communism and towards his brand of nationalistic socialism. But Hitler's rise wasn't solely due to his charisma or oratory skills. It was also a result of his masterful use of propaganda. He understood the power of controlling the narrative, of shaping public opinion to suit his agenda. With Joseph Goebbels, his propaganda minister, Hitler launched a massive media campaign, spreading his anti-Semitic, anti-communist ideologies through radio broadcasts, newspapers, and even children's books. This campaign wasn't just pervasive, it was also persuasive, swaying millions to his cause. Through his speeches, Hitler projected an image of strength and certainty in uncertain times, promising a return to national pride and prosperity. And in the volatile climate of post-war Germany, this was a message many were willing to believe. Hitler's rise to power was a chilling testament to the power of propaganda and charismatic leadership. It serves as a stark reminder of how easily a nation can be swayed by a charismatic leader with a dangerous agenda, particularly in times of upheaval and uncertainty. On January 30th, 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany, marking the beginning of a reign of terror that would last 12 years. With Hitler's appointment, Germany was catapulted into a terrifying era of brutality and fear. Hitler swiftly moved to consolidate his power, silencing opposition, controlling the media, and implementing policies that would forever shape the course of history. The infamous Nuremberg Laws of 1935 stripped German Jews of their rights and marked the beginning of racial purity laws that would escalate into the Holocaust. By 1936, the first concentration camps, grim symbols of Hitler's regime had been established. These were places of unimaginable suffering, where millions of innocent lives were extinguished in the name of Hitler's distorted vision of a racially pure Germany. Jews, political dissidents, homosexuals, and other targeted groups were rounded up, separated from their families, and sent to these camps where most would never return. In 1939, Hitler's aggressive foreign policies and expansionist ideology led to the start of World War II. Hitler had promised his people prosperity and power, but the reality was a world at war, with Germany at its epicenter. Despite the chaos, Hitler managed to maintain a stranglehold over Germany, using propaganda, fear, and a cult of personality to keep his people in line. Hitler's reign was not just marked by war and genocide, but also by an atmosphere of pervasive fear. People lived in constant dread of being targeted by the regime, and dissent was ruthlessly suppressed. Hitler's secret police, the Gestapo, were omnipresent, ensuring that his iron-fisted rule remained unchallenged. Yet even in the face of such terror, there were those who dared to resist. Ordinary men and women who risked their lives to stand against the tyranny, their stories a testament to the enduring spirit of humanity in the darkest of times. Hitler's reign was a dark and terrifying period in history, marked by war, genocide, and widespread fear. As the Allies closed in on Germany, Hitler's dream of a 1,000-year Reich crumbled around him. The final days of World War II were a grim reflection of the once mighty power that had swept across Europe. As the tide of the war turned against him, Hitler retreated, taking shelter in his bunker, a fortified concrete enclosure beneath the Reich Chancellery. The bunker, a symbol of Hitler's desperation, became his last stand. He held on to the belief that his forces could still triumph, even as the world outside his bunker crumbled in the relentless assault of the Allied forces. In those final days, his health deteriorating and his spirit broken, Hitler made a series of irrational decisions, ordering non-existent divisions to launch counterattacks and blaming his generals for the looming defeat. His dream of a 1,000-year Reich was disintegrating, and with it, his sanity. On April 20th, 1945, Hitler made his last public appearance, awarding Iron Crosses to the Hitler Youth. His appearance was a stark contrast to the charismatic figure he once was. He had become a pale, frail, and trembling man, a ghost of his former self. 10 days later, on April 30th, 1945, as the Soviet forces were less than a mile from the bunker, Hitler took his own life. His body was found slumped over the table, a pistol lying by his side, and a pool of blood beneath him. It was the end of the man who had once held the world in his iron grip, now reduced to a tragic figure, broken and defeated. Hitler's death signaled the end of World War II in Europe. It marked the downfall of the Nazi regime, a regime that had spread terror across the world, claimed millions of lives, and forever changed the course of history. Hitler's death marked the end of a horrific chapter in human history, but the scars of his reign remain visible to this day. The echoes of his actions continue to serve as a stark reminder of the depths to which humanity can sink when consumed by hate and a lust for power. Adolf Hitler's influence on history is undeniable and continues to be a subject of study and debate. His reign of terror left an indelible mark on the world, painting a grim picture of the catastrophic consequences of unchecked power. In the aftermath of his rule, a world scarred by the horrors of war was left to pick up the pieces. Hitler's legacy is a stark reminder of the destructive potential of hatred and bigotry. This period of history forced nations to reassess their ideologies, leading to a reshaping of the world order post-World War II. Lessons were learned the hard way, prompting the establishment of international bodies like the United Nations, aimed at preventing such atrocities from recurring. Hitler's legacy, though shrouded in darkness, has been instrumental in shaping global policies and attitudes towards war and peace. In understanding Hitler's life and legacy, we are reminded of the devastating consequences of unchecked power and the importance of standing against hatred and bigotry.